They explain it as a mastery of the mind. Not non-attachment, not detachment, as a mastery. Vashikara is the term, mastery. So, the literal translation, they also say is a decoloring non-attachment, but for that, what you need is a mastery. Okay? So, sometimes it's not deliberate. The mind starts to place a big fancy on certain people. Big attractiveness and belief systems that we can't live without them, and all these things form around people, and we are not even deliberately doing it. So Vashikara is getting a mastery over this. You can pull back the fancies, you can put the fancy where you want to. It's like Vashikara. You start to control this power of attraction. Okay, so you can attach to whatever you know is wholesome and is going to support you, and you can pull back that anytime you want. Okay, and that is tough. Okay, is that okay? Yeah. So, anatomy first module we learned about feet. How many bones? 26. Quickly, Karen, what are the first 5 bones from the toe sides? Okay, from the toe sides. Toes are called? Phalanges, how many? 14. Then comes 5 metatarsals. Then comes 3 navicular. Okay, those are for exam reason you have to study, but later you won't need it. You won't have to soak. So 3 navicular, cuboid, then the calcaneus, then the talus. What is the angle joint? Yeah, tibia, fibula and talus. Okay, so that is the angle joint. And what are the movements of the foot? Plantar dorsi, eversion and inversion. What are the muscles which does this? Does what? Tibialis anterior does dorsiflexion. What does plantar flexion? Gastrocnemius and soleus. Then what does eversion? Peroneus longus. Nice. Okay, fine. I think you can write exam next week. Okay. So it's good. You're quite in touch with it. So knees. What can you say? Knees. Hinge joint. Then what are the structure? Structurally, what is there before we come to muscles? 3 bones. Kneecap, patella. Then what holds them together? What holds femur and tibia? Cruciates, collaterals. Yeah, the 2 pairs of ligaments. And what prevents these 2 bones from grinding each other? Yeah, the menisci, the synovial fluids and all that. Then movement. Hinge joint, so extension flexion only. Then what are the muscles which extend the knee? Okay, quadriceps. What are they? Rectus femoris. Rectus femoris is a difficult one to remember. The rest, you just have to start by saying vastus. Then it's easy. Vastus lateralis, medialis, intermedius. Okay? Then what flexes? Hamstrings, and they are? Yeah, semimembranosus, tendinosus, bicep femoris. Okay? So then we can come into hips. What is the hip joint? Ball and socket joint. Structure? Pat. What bones? No. Greater trochanter is part of the femur. I mean, you know, but, huh? What of the pelvis? Acetabulum. Okay, so acetabulum is the word. The socket is called acetabulum. It's acetabulum of the pelvis and head of the femur. That is the ball. And socket is the acetabulum. So that's the hip joint. And at the hips, what all movements? Okay, rotation, what types? No, rotation. External and internal rotation. If you want to take it more anatomical, you have to say medial and lateral. Medial rotation, lateral rotation. Okay, then what are the other movements? Okay, adduction is what? Okay. Show me adduction. That what you're showing is a rotation though. Okay. Thighs coming towards the midline or across the midline. Yeah, that is adduction. Away from the midline is ab. Yeah, abduction. Then is just a flexion and extension. Okay. What flexes the hip? Yeah, psoas. Okay, psoas is a major hip flexor. So is rectus femoris. See, what's the difference between rectus femoris and the other three quadriceps? The other three quadriceps start at the tibia, end in the femur. Okay, rectus femur goes from the tibia and jumps over into pelvis. So it can act both as knee extensor, but because it's at the pelvis, it can also lift the thigh bone. So it's also a hip flexor. Okay, so if I ask you which of the quadriceps can flex your hip, the answer is rectus femoris. Okay? So, what extends the hip? Yeah, glutes. Okay, gluteus maximus, minimus, as well as the hamstrings. They lift backward, they leg backward, or they tilt pelvis backward. What is the sacroiliac joint? SI joint. The name says it. No, sacrum is behind. Okay, so the two ilium and the sacrum, where the ilium and the sacrum join, that is a sacroiliac joint. Now, what is the teachings we take out from that particular joint? Okay, what we take out is there is no muscle between sacrum and ilium, and is all mainly just ligaments holding it together. So we see it more as a joint of stability than a joint of mobility. Okay? So at the knee joint, if it's femur and the tibia, your muscles going between the tibia and the femur specifically to extend and to flex. Like that, there is no specific muscle between the sacrum and the ilium, and it's just mainly ligaments. So we do not independently move ilium away from the sacrum or sacrum away from the ilium. We try to move ilium and sacrum together. Okay? So that's where in asymmetric, like when one leg is in front, don't move only from the right pelvis forward. We try to move both pelvis equally forward. Okay, so that is due to not just aesthetics, it is due to this SI joint thing. We want to, because when one ilium moves, it will drag the sacrum with it. But if the other ilium doesn't move, then there is that pull. That side sacrum is moving without ilium supporting. So we want both ilium to move. So then teaching skills, you learned to practice opening sitting, a child pose down dog, and sun salutes and standing postures. Okay? Second module, we learned about meditation. Okay, what is the Sanskrit? Dhyana. Okay? If you expand dhyana, what do you get? The plus ayanam. Okay, the plus ayanam is dhyana. Di is the root of buddhi. Okay, attention, knowing, and all those things are referred to by Di. Ayana meaning a movement. Okay, so we do not define meditation as stillness, because dhyanam actually means movement. Because life is a flow of moments. Nothing is really still. Okay, so every moment our attention can go to different things. So each moment, so if I am focusing on the breath, this moment I can focus on the breath. Next moment another samskara can come up and it can rob me of that creating the breath experience. Instead I should keep moving my attention to the breath this moment, next moment come up, again back to the breath, next moment come up, again back to the breath. That is dhyana. So there is no stillness as such. If at all we have to use stillness, we have to say like it is not so distracted, no, maybe body is still, maybe the mind is not going all over the place. In that level we can say relatively still. But we are not talking of absolute stillness. Nothing in Prakriti is absolutely still. Okay? Absolutely still in the Patanjali context is Purusha. Okay, so we can say meditation is stillness. Okay, is skillful, focused movement. Okay, then we can say, okay, sun salutation can be movement, walking can be movement, so walking can be meditation. So then that expands. Otherwise we'll think that sitting still with eyes closed, that's the only thing meditation. If you associate stillness with meditation. But if you associate it with this moment, next moment, next moment, I can keep putting my attention on the same thing, then it becomes meditation. Cooking can be meditation. Then that concept will expand. Samadhi. What is samadhi? Absorption and see, we are all absorbed, okay, in our own thoughts, in our own fears, in our own fantasies. You know, it's very tough to take people out of their self-absorption. So it's not that absorption they are talking about, insightful absorption. Okay, they concentrate and they get insights and they get absorbed in those kind of great wisdom, okay, great insights. And that is quite a lot speculative for us. Okay, it's just an inspirational direction for us. Our practice is mainly on pratyahara, you remember that? Like reversing the feeding patterns and ability to withdraw mind from, you know, like unnecessary stuff, ability to concentrate, ability to hold mind on one focus, and then to really keep on connecting to meditation. Samadhi is currently academical, but then you have to know that as well. So academically, you have two types of samadhi. One is called samprajñāta samadhi, the other is called asamprajñāta samadhi. So samprajñāta samadhi is divided into four. Vitarka, vichara, ananda, asmita. Yeah, four types. Vitarka is insights about the gross. Vichara is you get insights about the subtle. Ananda is you start to experience a rapture and a bliss. And asmita you settle into a deep contentment. So that you just read and revise. So then we shifted into Vedanta. Vedanta, one of the big context is Atman Jivan, yeah, Brahman, Atman. So what is the difference between Atma and Jiva? Atma is outside, Jiva is inside. Okay? Brahman is only outside? Yeah. Okay. So is Brahman and Atman same? Just now you said Brahman is outside, Atman is inside. But are they different? Brahman and Atman, are they different or same? They are the same, it's just two terms, right? So, what is Jiva then? Huh? That all is Atma also. Atma is also I, me and all that. Jiva is also I, me, but depends on what the I, me is basing its existence. So the example you remember, it's a room. Okay? So what is a room? What gives the distinction of a room? It is a wall. No, space doesn't make a room. What makes space a room is walls, ceiling and floor. That makes a room. But once a room is made by the walls and ceiling and the floor, people come into the room for what? They come into the room for space. They are not coming to hang on the wall. I mean, we do hang on the wall, but wall and ceiling and floor is taken for granted. They come for the space inside the room. So the space is the essence of the room, but yet the room is characterized by the wall. Okay? So now we are saying if the room space has a mind, and if that space of the room identifies itself with the wall, floor, ceiling and so forth, then that space is called a jiva. Okay? Which identifies itself around attributes. Okay? It says that these walls are made of bricks of Malaysia, so I am a Malaysian space. I get a Malaysian passport and it is completely settled as this Malaysian. Okay? But if it connects to space, the space of Malaysia is same as space of China, Russia, everything. There is a non-divisiveness. But when the space is connected to the walls, is divisive. That is jiva. That is maya. That is mithya. All of that. When the space recognizes that that's not my essence, I am this pure, non-divisive space. That is my true essence. Then it is Atman. Okay, it is Brahman. Yeah. Jiva is an identification with attributes. So you identify yourself as a shape. You identify yourself as a race. You identify yourself as a religion. You identify yourself as economically what kind of status. That's all jiva. Okay? That is mithya, meaning it's not completely wrong. Okay? So it's like in the dream reality is not a false reality. Because at that time that's what we experience. That's real to us. So it's not false, but that's not the entire picture of it. That's not the end of truth. You're the dreamer as well, but we have to find it out. Okay? So that is the Atma. Okay? Where you lose your identification with this form and name and race and all that. You connect to that purity, that essence, which is non-divisive, which is not limited to form or race or anything. Okay? So that's Atman Brahman. Okay, so you all have the idea of it, I think. Then once you read and contemplate, you will be able to come out with it with good articulation. So karma movement, very nice. Then what else? What kind of movement? Yeah, that's fine. He showed this way. So that's sideways. Then so 5 movements: upward, downward, sideways, expand, contract. Okay? They say that the manifest world is a karma world, meaning everything is movement. Okay? So then in terms of 3 kinds of karma which affects us. Past karma, samskara, so what is it called? So we all have a bag of samskaras, like what we have done before. That's called sanchita karma. Okay? So that affects what we are going to do right now. What we are going to think right now, how am I going to respond to this moment right now? The biggest influence on that is how I have been doing it in the past. My interpretations of the past, my tendencies of the past. That is going to affect my action and thought right now. So if we are not deliberate, if we are not attentive, the past will be the future as well. We are just going to repeat ourselves. Okay? So it will play out in different spaces through different people, but we are still doing more of the same. Okay. Once you see certain patterns and you know, okay, this pattern I should not repeat, I should put in this belief system, then it becomes Kriyamana karma. You're going to do something right now, deliberately and skillfully, eliminating unskillfulness. Then that's called Kriyamana karma. Yeah, so that is, in this moment, you're going to do it a bit differently. Okay, so that is Kriyamana karma. Then you have Prarabdha karma. Okay, so that's what we don't pay much attention to as a study subject, which is life events happening to us, where we say that's a consequence of actions, okay, which the teachings themselves say don't speculate too much. So if somebody like dies today, and we should not say it's their karma, so that kind of thing, we leave it. It's all dependent on actions, but we do not know. So we do not simply say that it's your bad karma. Okay. 3 bodies and 5 coverings. Vedanta. Gross body, subtle body, causal body. Okay. Gross body is made up of gross elements. Okay, 5 gross elements. They go through 6 stages. Do you remember? Now you are seeing your baby comes, is like exist, then it's born. Now it's going to grow. Yeah, so yeah, like that. So we all go through exist, born, grows, matures, then weakens and dissolves. Yeah. Okay. So that's the 6 stages. Then the subtle body, they talk about 19 parts. The capacity behind the 5 organs of action, 5 organs of perception, 5 pranas. Do you remember 5 prana? We have briefly spoken about it. Apana behind elimination, prana behind absorption, samana behind digestion, then vyana behind circulation and nervous system and so forth. And then udana behind movements of arms, legs and all that, plus state shift. The udana is what shifts you from wakefulness to dream, dream to sleep, life to death. Udana is the one which is supposed to change states. Okay? So because we can't deliberately switch on sleep, right? We can only put ourselves in an environment in which sleep can happen. It's just probability. There's a better probability of sleeping if you off the light and lie down and close eyes, and then we are just hoping. But what takes us from that wakefulness to sleep? That is udana. Okay. So the causal body, they just say it's maya. Okay, that projection power. Okay. Okay. So then 5 coverings. There are 5 koshas. The food covering, annamaya. Then the energy covering, pranamaya. Then the mind covering, manomaya. Then the intellect covering, vijnanamaya. Then the conditions of happiness, anandamaya. So there are 5 coverings. What are they covering? The essential self. So koshas meaning covering. Okay. So when we affirm that we are the body, then that ignorant affirmation blinds us from seeing anything more of ourselves. Then the body becomes a covering. Then when we identify ourselves with functions, just say, I have work to do, I am a lawyer, I am this, and only with this function and action, that is pranamaya kosha. Okay? We identify with our function. Okay? Or the roles which come along with that. That is pranamaya. Then we have manomaya, where we identify ourselves with our stories and likes and dislikes. Okay? So then vijnanamaya is, whatever knowledge we have, around that we become blind to any more insight. So then that becomes vijnanamaya kosha. Then we have fixations on happiness. Okay, we think happiness can come only in certain ways, and we get very attached to it. That is Anandamaya Kosha, and the different ways by which we can get blocked. So the essence of self, the essential nature of self, Vedanta describes as Sat Chit Ananda. Okay, existence, knowledge, bliss. Okay, the wisdom of the whole universe is in each one of us. Okay, in each one of us is that entire wisdom of the universe. And also they say the intrinsic nature of us is bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. Anatomy, second module, you learned about brain. So what can you tell about brain, Karen? Yeah. Where does brain start? I mean, if you're looking from the spine. Brain stem. Okay, brain stem, midbrain, and then you have the cerebral cortex. Okay, and that's where you have the divisions. So cerebral cortex, what are the divisions? How many divisions? Okay, they are prefrontal. Prefrontal is good, but in the general division we just say frontal. Okay, frontal lobes, parietal lobes, occipital, temporal. Okay, so frontal lobes, prefrontal cortex. Okay, so that's important. The prefrontal cortex does what? Yeah, decision making, planning, all those things are done by the prefrontal cortex. So it also tries to solve stuff. Okay, like it tries to analyze, solve. It's always trying to solve the puzzle of each day's drama. Okay, and it has very limited resources. It's very small. The amount of brain tissue for prefrontal is very limited when compared to the entire space of the brain. So prefrontal cortex normally never can solve. Okay, it just gets headaches. Okay, it tries and tries and comes out with all kinds of stuff, but generally ends up in migraine. Okay, so solutions normally comes when it is relaxed. Okay, when prefrontal cortex is relaxed, so that's where maybe meditation. Some people wake up with some kind of insight. You know, nice deep sleep, and you wake up, there's some clarity. Okay, so we need to trust the bigger segments of the brain to come out with solutions. For entertainment, we can think of solving all the problems and all those things with the prefrontal cortex. Okay, so then frontal lobe has one main structure when it comes to movement. What is that? Primary motor cortex. Okay, so that is the one which sends impulses to different parts of the brain and elicits a movement. Okay, primary motor cortex. Then parietal cortex is where primary sensory cortex is. Okay, so you just have to, that one you just have to read up. You all were good in telling the 4 lobes, but when it comes to meditation, when it comes to quality of our heart, we talk of a few structures. That's important for us. What are they? ACC, yeah, critical. Okay, as of now, the neurology in terms of psychology and mindfulness is still evolving. So as of now, this ACC is holding a lot of importance for us, because that seems to be the structure which comes up, which lights up when you're asking yourself to witness something. Okay, a referenced witness. For example, watch this moment has no reference. Okay, that might not bring out ACC. But when we say watch the breath in this moment, then you're also saying watch whatever obstructs the breath. Then you're taking that third party witnessing. That is ACC. So it is watching what's happening with reference to whether you're on the breath or not. Is that okay? So Just experience of anger, there is no ACC. Awareness of the experience of anger is ACC. Okay, so experience different, awareness of the experience is witnessing, and that is ACC. That's important. Then, how does that structure get big and strong? So we want a strong ACC for long periods of this witnessing. Not breathing is practice. Long time practice, uninterrupted. Not just meditation. Meditation, we said, is not sitting with closing eyes. Okay? It's you're continuously asking yourself to witness whatever you're doing. Okay? Whether you're walking at different times, whether you're standing in a long queue, can you witness your posture? Can you look at how many people have pronated feet or inverted feet? Just keep on asking to witness more, sense more blood to that structure. What we intend gets a response from your system. So if you're always asking to witness and watch and create insights, it will send more blood to ACC. More blood means more glucose. Okay, so with all that, it gathers more strength, it gets thicker. Okay, so that's why, like, suddenly we can't become concentrated and we can witness everything. Suddenly we can't. Long term, regular practice, then you're regularly, the system is sending blood to that, and it then starts to work. Okay, so there are other structures in the brain which gives very short term reward, pleasure kind of feeling. Okay, generally we are only catering to that. So if you just think of a person, think of a nice moment with a person, think of a nice food you ate, or an imagination. You do that for a moment, you get that small bit of bliss. Okay, we tend to repeat that a lot. We keep on going back there or keep on imagining that, and through that we keep getting points of bliss all the time. Okay, I forgot that structure's name. So then we will never activate anterior cingulate cortex. Okay, breath watching, I'm not getting that other bliss. So forget the breath. Remember that. Imagine, fantasize bliss, 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 bliss. Okay, so that is the general tendency. Insula gets activated what? How? Huh? Pardon? How? Feeling the? Oh, not just the big toe. Insula is related to what's called interoception, which is receiving the sense of the body, not exactly sensorily. So if I'm feeling the touch of the thumb and the index finger, this is through my sensory cortex. It can sense touch. But if I'm trying to feel the inner middle of the skull space, if I say like that I can't feel, I can't touch the inner middle. So when I'm trying to feel, I do get a sense of where might be the inner middle. That is given by insula. It kind of internally give a spatial idea of different parts of the body, not so much sensorily. Okay? And once insula lights up, another effect of it is empathy. Okay? So you connect to Atha 16, you connect to middle of the pelvic floor, middle of the abdomen. At the end of it, suddenly you might find that you're not so resentful. You're not holding that grudge so loudly. Some loosening happens. Okay. You also learned about breathing. Okay, what is the main breathing muscle? Diaphragm. Okay, diaphragm. Okay, and that maybe you just read through. So what are the two ways by which diaphragm can facilitate inflow, outflow of air? Huh? Yeah, one is the vertical path, okay, where the dome of the diaphragm goes down, belly expands, pelvic floor descends. So this expands the lungs. Air pressure, okay, gets lesser here, lesser than the outer pressure. So pressure variance will push air in. So if I ask you about breathing, you have to really talk in terms of pressure variance and movement of air. Okay, so flow of air, inflow and outflow of air is totally dependent on pressure variance. And pressure varies depending on volume, depending on shape change. The shape expands, pressure goes down. The press contracts, becomes small, pressure gets higher, air goes out. So it should be in that context you should write about breathing, okay, and how the diaphragm does that. Okay. So abdomen, what are the muscles? Did you say psoas? Psoas is also an abdominal muscle, the deepest layer there, but we generally talk about rectus abdominis. What is its main function? Lumbar flexion. So lumbar spine, it will pull the lumbar into flexion. So when we say lower back onto the floor, that is a rectus abdominis action. It will change the shape of the spine from the extension to flexion. Okay, so that is rectus abdominis. And upper fibers of it will bring the ribs towards the pubis. Lower fibers of it will curl pubis towards the navel or the ribs. So cobra pelvis is lower fibers of the rectus abdominis. It is just always trying to bring the front crease of the pant line towards the navel. Okay. Then what else? Abdominal muscles. Obliques. Okay. Obliques. It will twist you, laterally flex you, then transverses. So obliques also will move the spine. Obliques will laterally flex the spine, it will rotate the spine. Transverses doesn't do anything to the spine, it simply pulls everything to the spine. Okay, when we say navel to the spine, transverses. Okay? That's nothing to do with abs as such. Yeah. So now, teaching skills, okay, spine and vertebra. Spine, what are the segments? Vertebral column, what are the segments? Like, if you start from the skull down, first segment is the cervical segment. How many bones? 7. Next is the thoracic. How many? 12. Okay. Then, Jamie? Lumbar. How many? 5. Then you have the sacrococcygeal, which also, but we just see it as sacrum and coccyx. Then each vertebra has got its own anatomy. Each vertebra has a body in the front, which is called vertebral body. Then it has got a spinous process at the back. It's got transverse process at the side, and it has got a disc. Okay, that is intravertebral disc. And the disc also you should be able to explain. What does the disc have? Disc have an outer covering, annulus fibrosus. Disc got a liquid, a jelly kind of thing in the middle, nucleus pulposus. Okay. Teaching skills you got good in teaching seated postures. So third module, philosophy was simple. The only philosophy we talked was in reference to the first paragraph of the opening invocation. Vande means what? Respectful welcome. You extend Vande to what? Guru Nam. Yeah, okay. In that Vande Guru Nam, respectful welcome to the teacher and the teachings. But what we are saying is respectful welcome to whatever you are attending to. When you're watching breath, inhalation is coming, Vande. Okay. So in the morning you consider like people in your life, all of them. You sit and think of all of them, Vande. You know, they are in your life. So you receive them with respect. I'm really glad that you are in my life. Okay. Whether right now it is in a dear one position or difficult one position, but all of that is making me what I am. One day you have a place, you know, like that is the practice. And in the class context, we are saying it with the teacher. Vande Gurunam, Charana Ravinde. Then what is the meaning of, I will ask you what's the meaning of the second line. Okay, what is that? Saha Andarshita Swa Atma Sukava Bodhe. What should the teacher do? Teacher should wake up the inner self in the students and make them feel the bliss of their own essence. That's the meaning. So that you can read up and all that. Okay. So anatomy, you have to brush upon respiratory system, which we study, right? Nostrils, then nasopharynx, oropharynx, larynx, glottis, epiglottis, then the trachea, bronchi, all that. Okay. So Ujjayi, you should be able to talk with reference to glottis and epiglottis, Ujjayi breath. So if I say anatomically explain the process of Ujjayi, you should be able to talk that way. Yeah? Don't simply say Ujjayi is a hissing breath, finished. Don't simply say like that. Yeah? Add up a bit. Teaching skills, you have to know about Ashtanga 4 strategies, what each one of it means. And then second strategy is what you were taught. Second strategy is the one with the exact vinyasa count. And you should say, how is the second strategy taught? So that is number first, breath second, movement explained, drishti at the end. Yeah? Then it's fourth module. You learned, you have to remember the 5 great tattvas of Shaivism. Do you remember? Yeah, Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva. And then we talked about the next 3 as intention, attention and action. So that the universe manifests itself out through that process. And then comes Maya. So above Maya, it is like, we can't even comprehend because we are under Maya. It's like limitless above Maya. Under Maya, everything is measured. But yet, we are part of this intention, attention, action. So we can churn our own reality inside the Maya world through intention, attention and action. So we can create our own reality. But knowing that is going to be measured though. So the universe above the Maya, it is it can do anything, it can come out with anything. But we have limited, so that's a Kanchikas. Skills, okay? So Kala, Vidya, all of those limited. Plus, we can't intend eternity in anything. So for example, what we intend, the universe will respond. Okay, we can create our thing. But under Maya, just because we intend something, it will give us to a point, but after that it will take everything back. Because in Maya, everything has an end. It won't endlessly give. So to a certain point, it will give. But then even if we intend, it will take back everything. So that we have to meet with wisdom. There we can't simply intend more and create more. There we have to have the grace of that wisdom to understand that. Okay? So the creation will dissolve eventually. So through intention, we also would create many experiences for us, but eventually that will be taken back. Okay? So we have to know that. So it's because it's within Maya. Okay? So we need that wisdom. So then that is the 3 malas, do you remember? Yeah, Anava mala, the feeling small problem. Okay, anything it's about you don't care for me, you all these things come that I've been made small. Okay, I'm disrespected. That is Anava mala. Maya mala, everybody else seems to be better time, everybody else seems to be getting more respect. So Maya mala. Karma mala, it shows as kind of distortions in our speech and our actions. So that is karma mala, and through practices we can reduce this, you know, so we can reduce the compressive nature of the 3 shells. So the 3 archetypes, do you remember? Shaivism. Mountain top yogi, cave yogi, cremation ground yogi. Okay? Then we can come to Shaktism. Shaktism is where they are glorifying the universe as this in the feminine as this feminine energy. Okay, so everything is energy, and their whole movement is to become more and more skillful in movement. They are not venerating stillness. So there is a radical shift from other branches where they are all trying to get above movement and connect to stillness. Here they are connecting to movement in itself. Okay, to become more skillful in movement. Okay, so there are endless layers of movements, become more and more skillful. So the archetypes, one of the main archetypes is Nadaraja, dance. Okay, dance through everything, move well, become more skillful in that. And then the other one is you don't have to seclude yourself in a cave. Wherever you are, your office space, your home space, that is your cave. Okay, then they will say, mess up your life. Don't be scared. Don't be caught up in this, this is good, that is wrong. Do stuff, get broken up, make again. Because they say that's the way universe makes itself. Break to make. Okay, that goes well with the ATP synthesis. Okay, how does any action gets created? To create that, it has to break a very intimate bond between 3 phosphate molecules. Okay, that has to be broken up. But then in that breakage, it gets energy to create a movement. Then it immediately jumps in, takes out a phosphate from a poor creatine phosphate. Okay, nice pair they were. It breaks that relationship. Then take out that phosphate, add it to adenosine diphosphate. Okay, it makes again, hey, here we are again, ATP, we all three are together, next moment is broken again, okay, to give energy. So the universe keeps on breaking and mending, breaking and mending. So that's its play, okay. So unbroken consistency and all that, not of this universe. So then we went into Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga, what's the main focus? To take us to Sushumna. That is the main focus. Okay? So then towards that, asanas, bandhas, kriyas, everything is there, but to take us into the depth of our center, which is an axis along the spinal line. Okay? It's called Sushumna. Then this whole concept of energy, nadis and all that. 3 nadis most important. They are Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. So 3 states of awareness in relation to the nadis. Do you remember? Sandhya is, what is Sandhya? Yeah, so Ida and the Pingala balanced out, Sandhya. Then Manonmani is you're immersed in Sushumna, and then mind, usual mind drops and another wakefulness comes up. Laya is currently hypothetical for me. It is like that absorption. Okay, the individual senses totally its continuum with the universal. Then anatomy, we learned about the nervous system, we learned about shoulder. What do you remember of the shoulder? What of the scapula? That's scapula, but what is the shoulder joint? Shoulder joint, there is a cavity in your shoulder blade. That's called the glenoid cavity. Glenoid cavity and the humerus. That is the glenohumeral joint. That is the actual shoulder joint. Okay? Then you learned about the muscles. You learned about rotator cuff. You learned about shoulder blade movement. What are they? Elevation, depression, protraction, retraction. That's a shoulder blade movement. Elevation is done by upper traps. Okay? Depression is done by lower traps. Retraction is done by rhomboids. Protraction is done by Jaya. Here is where your serratus anterior comes. It's an upper back muscle. It's a shoulder blade muscle, not the abdomen. Serratus anterior takes a shoulder blade to protraction. ATP. Chris was not there last week. So ATP, what is ATP? So infinite energy you are, but in Maya, units of energy. So the units of energy that is called the currency of energy in a biological measure is ATP. Okay? Now what is ATP? Expand it. adenosine triphosphate. How does energy come out of that? Yeah, so let's say you're starting to jog. First 5 seconds, what happens? Breaking ATP, existing ATP in the muscle cell. Last you 5 seconds. Then existing creatine phosphate. It breaks creatine phosphate, add it to adenosine diphosphate, make it triphosphate, break it again. You continue for another 20 seconds. Then 90 seconds comes from existing, not liver yet, existing glucose in your muscle cells. Glycogen, it uses that. It takes you for around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes is what a reasonably trained person can exert strongly. Okay, like a big set of bench press and all of that. Okay, 1 minute and then okay, whatever drop sets and all that, you can still continue to contract a muscle. Okay. After that, aerobic. Okay, it needs oxygen. Okay, so then yeah, that's it. So that's all. Okay, you all are actually quite ready. Okay, really nice. So don't delay too much for the exam. Okay, so just think among yourselves. All of you were like your lips all were moving with the right answers. I could see, you know, like so. It's great. Which one? Okay, so I like all the groups, and this group also, I felt very nice to sit with you all. Okay, it is really a privilege to share the teachings, and all of you showed a lot of interest. You know, some of the good moments where if one of you come and ask me a doubt, I'm answering the person privately at any of this space. Soon I'll find all of you gathering around it. You know, that shows that interest. You know, so it's very beautiful. Thank you all. Okay. The teaching just keeps on continuing. You can access me anytime through WhatsApp and all that. Don't lose this Sangha. You know, like you should always communicate with each other, and that will be a big strength for you. You know, some of the great friendships here, it has been between yoga students. You know, like and great friendships. You know, so wish you all the very, very best. Yeah, namaste. Okay, okay. So yeah, you can take the big.